Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. This is David, welcoming you back to Zone 5B in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. You'll notice a little bit of a weather difference if you watched my video yesterday. Yesterday it was 60, it was sunny, it was absolutely glorious. Today is very overcast. We're expecting some storms, but the temperature again is up in the 50s, so we can't complain for Illinois. Tomorrow it's going to drop back down into the 30s. And that's kind of what we expect around here in the winter time. So I just want to do a quick hit video here. I mentioned yesterday that some of my trees needed some pruning. I wanted to kind of show you some of the pruning that I'm going to do. The biggest thing when you're pruning your trees, there are two main ways that you prune. One is to an open center, so it looks more like a vase with nothing growing up in the middle. That encourages light and airflow to get to the center of the tree. And then there's the central leader where you have the one trunk going straight up, and you don't want any competition with that one single trunk. That'll encourage it to grow big and strong. We will prune it down a little bit to encourage more side growth. But those are the two real options when it comes to trees, fruit trees at least. I did read that for most stone fruits, the open vase method is great. It looks like for apples, it could go either way. I did read for Granny Smith. A lot of times that open vase is a good way to go. And I did read for cherries that the central leader, sweet cherries, the central leader is the way to go. My biggest thing is to try to encourage more growth and to get rid of some of the long wispy branches. In order for the trees to bear fruit and to be able to carry them, we do want sturdier branches. And as you'll see on a couple of the trees, if I manage to film them all, some of the growth that's been done since the fall is very wispy, very long, very thin, and it wouldn't support any fruit. So let's see if we can get started and at least show you a little bit of what I want to do here. Right, so I was looking at this tree first. Let me get it set up so we can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So with this tree here, it has a lot of weirdness going on in the top. I had been pruning it to the central leader, so I have a lot of competition up in the top range. And then I don't have many scaffold branches around it. This is actually going to be my flavor top nectarine. So one of the first things that I want to do, and hopefully you can get a good view of it, is this branch right here. Lower this down a little bit. So this branch right here is growing really long, and I'm going to trim it back a little bit. And what we want to do, you can trim most by about a third from what I've read. So I'm going to trim this back, and I want to trim it to an outward facing bud. So you see all the buds on here. You want to find one that's facing outward because we don't want any branches growing into the tree that's going to crisscross any other branch, that's going to kind of block the central light there. So I'm going to trim right above this one here. And then we do want to prune at an angle. So I did cut off a bit of the top of that one. I want to do something up here as well. I don't mind the direction that they're going. I'm going to cut off this little nub because it's competing with this one. And I will trim these back just a little bit as well. Again, to an outward facing bud. And then over here to outward facing bud. And then I think I might get rid of this little branch. Let me see. The best thing about pruning your tree, though, is it's pretty forgiving. If you prune too much, it'll generally grow back as long as we're not damaging the lower root area it should recover from anything that we're going to do. So this one here, if you can see it, is growing straight up. It's a little wispy branch, so I'm going to cut that off. There we go. And this one here, again, is growing kind of straight up. So I'm going to prune it back a little bit to that one. Then I do want to do something with these up here and this. So this side branch is a little thicker and sturdier. And then I have this one. So I'm going to decide which I want to be my central leader on the tree. And I think I'm going to go with this one because it is thicker. It does look a little bit healthier. And then I'm going to want to trim that off though too. So let's just cut that off. Okay. I think we're going to let that go and see how it goes from there with what's left on the tree. You could always try to root these cuttings and keep them in that way. So now we're going to move on to this tree here. Hopefully you guys can see it. Would be this one here. Move back a little bit. So this one is going to be one of my apple trees. So I'm kind of happy with the scaffold branches that I've got going on around here. This is actually one of them a little bit lower that I tried to do a grafting technique on. So we'll see if that bud took here as things start to warm up. This one's looking pretty good. I grew it to a central leader, which is fine. But at the top, we kind of have a little goofiness. So I have to figure out what I want to do there. This little wispy branch here, I'm actually going to prune back a little bit just because it's so long and wispy. This one over here, I'm going to prune there. This one here, we're going to do the same thing. Look for an outward facing bud and prune it off. Do the same on this one. We have an outward facing bud there. And then again, I have this growing a little steep, but since it's prune, I'm hoping to get some growth from this bud here. And I have this little wispy branch here. I think I'm going to take this little wispy one off. And then at the top, we are going to, I think I did cut it back already in the fall, but I'm going to cut it off here just to try to encourage some more side growth. So we will go with that. And then I will show you, I think, at least one more. And this one here has some very wispy branches. Like this here, this long one here, some competition growing at the top. So let's figure out what we can do. I lost the tag, so I'm not sure which one this is. I want to say this is one of my newer ones, though, because it is so small. So I'm going to prune this to an outward facing bud. We will prune this to an outward facing bud. Some of these have a very tight crotch angle, so the angle between the trunk and the branch. I am going to cut just some of those off because I have all these little thin, fragile branches. Some down here, one there. And then this one here just has a really tight angle, so we'll get rid of that as well. This I don't mind, but I'm going to cut off the tip. All right, so we're going to leave that like that and see how it grows. So I'm going to turn my camera around. I'm going to finish with the trees. It's actually starting to rain here now, which we were expecting. But again, I did cut off a bunch of branches. Again, with fruit trees, they are pretty forgiving. So if you prune too much, it'll grow back. Pruning in the late winter encourages growth, and growing in containers, I'm trying to keep the size down as well. So it is important to do the pruning. Read up on it if you have fruit trees. If you're not sure how to prune, read up on it, find out what you can find. I found a lot of information. Some of it contradicts itself, but just do the best you can, and that's the best way to learn. So I will finish up my trees. Hopefully the warm weather is right around the corner for us in Zone 5B. I do plan on posting another short video in the next couple of days to show you an awesome product that I have inside for my seed starting. I actually have germination already from seeds that I planted last weekend, so we're less than a week in. I've already had quite a few germinate, and I think a lot of that has to do with the product that I'm using. So I'm happy to share that information with you guys a little later. Thank you for watching. I hope that you guys all come back to grow with me. Never stop growing. Grow a little every day. And thank you for watching Come Grow with David A. Hope to see you guys here real soon. Have a great day. Bye.